Hey everybody, I am Gina Bianca, life and business coach, salon owner, educator, mastermind mentor, and your host of the Gina Bianca podcast. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gina Bianca podcast. Thanks for joining us again. I know that time is the ultimate unrenewable resource, and I'm so grateful when you spend your time here listening to the podcast. And today I'm so excited to interview and chat with one of my friends, Ashley Lavallee. So I've been following her and looking up to her since I was an baby salon owner, and she's just a savage. She kills it. Her handle is Red Hot Stylist. She is absolutely amazing. She's from Connecticut like me, and I love to support and bring Connecticut hair artists into my journey because I am so grateful to be from Connecticut with all these amazing people. We have some killer artists here, and Ashley is one of them. So she's the owner of Save Your Scissors Salon. She's a coach, and she does a lot of stuff with brands as well. But she has so much more to offer than even hair. And I'm just so grateful she made the time for me today. So Ashley, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be doing this first podcast ever. I know, and I'm doing it here.
Yay! First of many.
Cherry with you. Yeah, super excited. I think it's really cool what you're doing. I have known about you forever. I feel like I'm the same way. I actually found a new artist today that was in Connecticut who's slaying work and I didn't know, and it came up on my explore page. And I was like, oh, I have to follow her. And she works at the network. So I just love to
Who
find
is it?
Hold on, wait, I don't remember. I'm the worst.
Who, Greta?
Something. No. Oh no, I know Greta. Love Greta. It is Stranger Hair.
Jody.
Yes, she just did some amazing copper, and it was on my feed because I think Leaf and Flower shared it, and I work with them, and she came up, and I was like, yes. I was like, wait a second. In the picture, I'm like, I know that background. I'm like, hold on. I looked, and I was like, yes, Connecticut on the map. I love it.
Yeah, Jody's awesome, and you're like the third person this week to talk to me about Leaf and Flower. I got to reach out to them. Anyways, yeah, that's awesome. Jody's amazing, and yes.
But the same. I just want to be I want to support the other local artists. I feel like our industry used to be so catty and nasty, and it really is up to us, whatever you want to call it, influencers, coaches, whatever title you want to give it. Yeah,
I like role models. I literally crossed out influencer from my life. I'm like, I'm a role model, bitches.
Yeah, I'm a role model. Thanks. But I feel like it's our job to kind of sway the industry in another way. And when I started getting heavy into barbering years ago, I saw how catty the hair world really is, because barbering, ready, spoiler alert, is not like that at all. At all. And I was working barbering events and cutting at them and doing stuff, and I was like, oh my God, these people are so nice, and they genuinely treat you like family, and they support you, and they have questions, and they're amazing. And I'm like, hair, well, I guess hair, the Cosmo side needs to go to some barbering events and take fucking notes.
Literally.
Because they were just killing it. And I think it's definitely a huge kind of responsibility of us to kind of, like you're doing, elevate and change the industry in a positive way to remove the negativity and the stigmas. If you don't have anything nice to say, sit the fuck down.
Absolutely. I love it.
Positive critiques or criticism. Don't knock somebody's work or the way they're doing something unless you're showing up with a solution or a way for them to better themselves. Just don't. Totally. So I think I'm here for it. So yeah, I'm always excited to hang out with someone else from Connecticut since we're so underrated here.
I know. Well, I love that. And, to go to what you said, even the stylist supporting stylist movement, that was
100%.
Huge. And I feel like now, stylists are less catty now. And I feel like now that we're leveling up and have more opportunities in the industry, I feel like that cattiness comes from the scarcity mindset of
100%.
My client went to this person and fuck that stylist. And it's just it's not the stylist's fault that you need to elevate your guest experience. Sorry.
Yep. Amen. Amen. I also think it's another, this is the whole COVID pandemic has been extremely humbling for our industry as a whole, 100%. maybe the person that you hated on before COVID now has become a coach and they have great ideas to help you elevate yourself. Maybe, you had hated on somebody and you were like talking shit or whatever the case may be, somebody that you were jealous of, and now their salon is killing it and you had to close yours. Like that, you know what I mean? You have to really check yourself. And I think that it put a lot of things in it. Like, although 2020 was a total like cluster of dumpster fire hell, I honestly feel like it, now that we're on the other side of it, it puts so much into perspective. At least for me, I know I can say that it puts so much into perspective, and especially within our industry and outside of it for a lot of people, that I'm hoping that there's a lot of change that comes out of it. And I can really see that coming, especially with everything going more digital now. Like, I'm so here for that. Yes, I miss trade shows. Yes, I miss all my friends, but I think how quickly the industry was able to like digitalize everything and still feed our like hungry, creative, always wanting to learn brains is phenomenal. So I think it's so good. It's so much, it's getting better. So I have hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think COVID was absolutely awful, but our industry did come out like we grew 10 years and
Oh, 100%.
It's
Uh-huh.
insane. And it's a gift. I mean, I'm finally getting back on my feet here, and I just got around to PPP, and I'm just like, well, okay, now I can pay my taxes. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
that like that happened, but now I'm kind of feeling like I'm turning a corner. But one of the biggest projects I had was getting my online business situated, because my
Yeah.
online business was my side hustle.
Right.
And then it became my full-time job, and it was just like,
Mhm.
whoa, okay, like now we have to pivot. But it was just really intense. But now that I look at it, now I have my brick and mortar, I have my online business, and I have all the things I was
Exactly.
doing. It was kind of on pause almost so I could focus. And I was complaining a lot in the beginning. Like, I was so like, why me? This is bullshit. Like, kind of like pretending like the whole world revolved around me and my own privacy of my home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think, yeah. Oh yeah. To your dog. Yeah. I think a lot of us kind of had that moment. I think
Oh yeah.
it was hard. I think for me, my most like, I was kind of like, wait, what? I'm such a control freak. Like, how dare you just rip something away from me with no notice? I think there was a huge grieving process in the beginning for me where I was like, I am not a sit still person at all. I am dangerously caffeinated running on level 15 all day long. So for me to sit still, I'm like, my butt hurts. I'm sitting like, what's going on? I don't want to watch anything on Netflix. I want to go to work. I need to talk to somebody. Like, I need a human. I need to do hair. So I think it was super hard. And there was definitely like a grieving process of my old salon life in the beginning. And then I literally had like woke up one day, like a couple weeks in, and was like, you know what? Like, screw this. I always am complaining about how there's not enough hours in the day and I don't have enough time. Right now, I have nothing but time. So I literally like made a game plan for what my business is going to do when we get back, how to handle the clients now. I was sending out emails. I had redid our entire website. I had switched software systems, something I wanted to do for so long, but I can't afford the downtime. Like, I can't afford that weird week of like, oh, that person's info's not in there. So that was the best thing I could have done.
What'd you switch to?
We just we're using Boulevard right now. I'm
I've never
literally
heard of
obsessed
that.
with it. Oh my God. It is the greatest. I had tried like Millennium or Mevo. I had tried Salon Iris. I have Booksies, like all that stuff. And I had used Salon Transcripts, STX, which is Mac based, because I'm like a Mac nerd. So we have all Macintosh for the longest time. And because it was the only Mac based software. And then I started researching Boulevard like first week of COVID, because of course I'm like, sitting with my phone like this on the couch. And I was like, wait, this is crazy. And it was because what we were missing was like, I am such a like business mindseted, like I want to know how much this is and what this costs. And I love numbers. I love all that nerdy aspect of things. It's just so interesting to me where I'm like, okay, so let's set this goal and this equals this and this equals this. That's 5 more of these. And I like to see the progression, the progress of
I love that too.
Most of and what we're selling the most of. There's something about that really enables me and helps me to guide and push and uplift my team in the right direction. So I wasn't able to do a lot of that with STX. And when I was, it was more work for me. It was like I was printing out something and then adding it up by hand and crossing things off. And so the amount of stuff that Boulevard has is just insane. We never had online booking before. I was totally scared of it. It was not something that I wanted because I don't want it. Like, I didn't want to do it. Like, I was just like, no, absolutely not. No way. And it was one of those things that I was scared of, which is everyone's always like, what? Um, my schedule is very difficult to get into as a client. I refuse to close my books because I'm just hard-headed and I don't want to do it. But like, I was like, well, I'm going to lose a client. I'd rather have one of them call and then me be like, yeah, hold on. And then bend over backwards trying to find a way to fit them in within the next month when there's no really time, but I'm extending my hours. And like, it was this circle of just like spiraling the burning out.
It gives
like,
you a boundary.
section. Exactly. So now, but I mean, now book online and it literally is, our pricing is very transparent. It shows you what you're getting. It shows you who you're getting it with. But I wanted a website where you could literally look at everybody's work. You could look at everybody's Instagrams and then you could go, oh, I want to book. You click book now. A widget pops up from the side of the webpage. So you can still, like, as you're looking for the person's name, I would forget. I'd be like, oh, I want to go see Cheryl. And then I'd be like, wait, which one is that? Like, I need to be able to see
It's like more intuitive. Yeah.
and see the thing. Yeah. So it's a lot more user friendly. I mean, if you're a user like me and a client facing platform like that. So now they can book online, which I was super scared of. But I think for me, I still get a lot of people that will call and kind of go, hey, so I tried to book online and it didn't work. And, we're like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it said she didn't have anything open until, end of May, like beginning of June. Like, is that a thing? Or so, but that's because I didn't have it for so long. But I was scared that I was going to not get new clients because it said how far I was booked out. And that's really not the case at all. If anything, they join the wait list, they go see one of my staff while they're waiting. So it was something that I was scared of for like the stupidest reason. And now with Boulevard, we have that. It integrates with so many amazing things. We signed up for Vish and now we have the Vish system, which is another amazing thing. So that was a COVID like amazing thing where it literally weighs the color and it.
Oh, nice.
No, but it's not just like a scale that weighs it. It's like connected to an iPad. Let's say they're like a 5N and a 6N and like a 7G or something, like some where the formulas where it's like a fraction of this, a quarter of this, whatever. So you would put that in their file. And then when you go to, like, let's say you mixed too much and you had leftover, like waste, which always happens most of the time. When she were to come in next time, you had waste, but you're not going to look and actually cut that fraction into a 16th or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not doing that in a salon when you're busy. The Vish does that for you. You reweigh the bowl after. It knows exactly how much color to be done and it will like how much you used. So next time she comes in, it will change the formula to be exactly what you need. It's unbelievable.
That's really awesome. That
it's
adds
crazy.
Up over time. It adds up.
Yeah.
And especially now,
totally.
Are you a commission salon owner?
Yeah, we're a commission salon.
Awesome. Yep. So, okay, let's go back. Tell me, Ashley, like how you got into the industry. Like, let's start there. And I want to talk about your salon because your salon's gorgeous and
Thank you.
Amazing. And I would love to talk about that. And then what you're doing now. Like, give me a little life story.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is so funny because I just uploaded literally this exact story onto YouTube because I feel like every time I tell a client or like a peer in the industry this, they're like, wait, what? That's crazy. I had no idea. So I think, I don't really know when hair became like my thing. It was always something that I kind of did. It was always like for fun. Like all my Barbies had bobs.
You can go back as far as you want to.
Yeah.
Like
so
you don't have to start just at hair.
Okay. All the pictures of me as a little kid, I have like a doll and a brush in my hand. Like there's always something. I have little sisters that of course always had horrible haircuts thanks to me finding like kitchen scissors as a toddler. But I think it was just something that I did for fun. Like I liked it. I thought it was cool. My Cabbage Patch Kids, remember the ones that had like the yarn hair? I would braid them all and give them like a full head of braids because you could. And I think then I found Sally's when I was like, in high school and was like, hell yeah, I can buy all this stuff. Let me fuck some shit up. And I literally would just buy it. There was no YouTube then, So I would just buy things. And I remember thinking the girls that worked at Sally's were so cool because they like knew stuff, which now I realize that they don't. And I would just like mess with things. I remember buying a plastic throwaway cap highlight thing and the needle or whatever crochet hook, and doing my friend's hair to sleepover, and then putting like pulling hair through a cap, and her like complaining that it hurts so bad. Like we had no idea what we were doing, and I was like, now we're supposed to smear some stuff on and just see what it does. And so we were like playing with all this stuff, and it was fun, but it became kind of like a hobby. Like that's what you did at sleepovers, or that's what you did. You know, my sister's friends wanted their hair curled for the 8th grade dance, and
I can totally relate to that. My friends and I would go to Sally's, and like I totally can relate to like every word you just said, and they would give you like this advice of like,
oh my God,
this is what you do, use X, Y, and Z. And my friends and I would do our own hair, and then we were obsessed with extensions. I graduated in 2009.
Same.
So we were obsessed with extensions, and we would go to the Hood of Waterbury to you know, on Bank Street where
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And this girl Cynthia did my cornrow weave, and I loved
literally
Cynthia.
Felt like so hot. You were like, I am Christina Aguilera in the Dirty video right now.
Right now. Yeah. So right now. I can totally relate. So Sally's like doing that as a hobby. Like I never knew I was going to do hair until I graduated school. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
I just know you're good. I just thought that's what girls did. Like I was like, oh, it's girls are having a party. Let's like paint our nails and do this. You know, like that's just what we did. And so I kind of just did it like for fun forever. But I remember when I was like, well, let me just backtrack. When I was 14 and like, you know, it's 8th grade, and where I went, there was a trade school in the same town as where I went to high school or middle school, high school, whatever. And they like did like a career fair, and they came in and like told you all the cool stuff that you could do. And of course I was like, I want to be an automotive technician. Like, hell yeah, that's cool. But you know, no, that's not happening. So I liked my longer nails too much. So that wasn't going to work. And I remember being like, wait a second, hold up. I hate school, like hate it. Not my thing. Refuse to do homework. Sorry, not doing it. I was always super creative. And I was like, wait, so you're telling me that I can go to high school and hair school same time, 4 years. I'm good. I have both licenses. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not buying this. Like there's a catch somewhere. So I don't have to do that. And I remember coming home and telling my mom how excited I was about it. And I was like, Ma, this is crazy. And they were not really too keen on it, but they were like, I mean, we could look into it. And it came down to the consensus that like my parents were kind of like, well, you know, we don't really think that like you're going to know how you could possibly know what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 14. Like, and now looking back on it, like as an adult-ish person, I get it, because as a 14-year-old kid, like if a 14-year-old kid came into me and was like, I want to be a rocket scientist, I'd be like, yeah, all right, John, take a seat. Like there's no way. But now I'm also like, damn it, I could have been like so much farther along by now, but it's okay. It all happened, you know, universe, blah, 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 the way it's supposed to. So I didn't go to hair school. I did not go to a trade school. I went to a regular high school, hated it. Still did hair as a side, you know, gig for fun. And then when I graduated, my parents were like, well, you got to go to school. We don't care what kind of school, but you got to go to school. You know, another major eye roll. Here we go. And I was like, well, I want to go to hair school, but they already said like negative to that. And I remember kind of gradually bringing it up again, like to see. And I was literally told like, oh, well, why would you want to be a poor, starving artist? And so when you're a teenager and like your family tells you that, or like anybody that you look up to in your family says that, although I was kind of like, I wouldn't be, and like rolled my eyes, that cut like hella deep. And I was like, okay, like don't want to do that then. Like, and I kind of backburnered the whole hair situation and started doing it still like for fun. It was never something that I stopped doing.
Can we pause there quick? Because the whole mindset of like our families not supporting what we do because they think that we're not going to make money. I can't even tell you how much that motivates like my whole fucking mission of just being like, I make fucking bread, mom and dad. Like, get out. Like, it's so insulting that people don't think hairdressing is like a lucrative career. Yeah. Jinx, buy me some Coke. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sober. I'm just kidding. I like saying that though because it's from The Office.
I get it. It's the same like situation. Yeah, 100%. It was, so I was kind of told that and it was deflating. Like I was like, all right, cool. And to be an asshole because I was mad about the fact that I was told that, oh, I'm going to be a performing artist. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I got to go to school. I'm going to go to bartending school.
I did
So
too.
that's a school, right? Haha, it's a school. So I went to bartending school in Norwalk at 18 because back then, if you wanted to bartend at 18, you had to have that stupid little
I
certified
went
mixologist
too.
piece of paper. Yep. So I went.
Oh my God. Twins.
I went and I did it. And then I bartended at like nightclubs and sports bars and stuff. And I wanted to be a zoologist of sorts or an animal handler. So I did, listen, I should have been in the circus. So it's like, I wanted to be that person that was at the zoo and like you had like one cheetah or like otter or like penguin that was like your dude. And like you raised it from a baby and like it's human. Like it knew you, it wouldn't maul you or attack you. Like you took care of it. So I really wanted to do that. I thought that would be like the coolest thing ever. So I started in high school. One of my like jobs, I worked at a vet's office as like a receptionist. I was in the kennel, then I was in the receptionist. Then I worked my way up to a better vet's office. I was a receptionist there. I would assist in the back a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'm making moves. And I wanted to, I learned a lot about the veterinary medicine field by working the front desk because you're like the brain of the operation where you're like, okay, this is not an emergency. Like you have to answer people's questions on the phone. So you're like practically like a nurse because you know all this stuff for animals. So then I was like, okay, I really want to, at this point, I'm in like maybe I'm 20 or 21. So I wanted to like keep going. So I'm like, all right, I want to become a vet tech, which is like an actual like animal nurse. And I was like, I want to be a vet tech. So I have to like transition into that. And the place I was working, the guy would not, he was like, I was such an asset in the front of the business. He didn't want me to move to the back. And I'm like, okay, great. It's almost like a curse of, and I hear this all the time. When you're too good at your job and they don't let you move up, like, okay, so I'm too good of a human to like start sucking at my job. So instead I was like, all right, well, how can I train then? Like, I want to be trained. Can I just like observe in the back? Like, what can I do? And he's like, well, if you really want to, you can come in on your days off. I'm not paying you and you can observe. And I was like, fine, done. So I came in on my days off and, you know, this one guy I was really good friends with, his wife was a doctor there. I literally followed him around like white on rice. And he was like, look, I don't know if he's ever going to let you do this, but I'm just going to teach you everything that I know. And I was like, yes. So sponged it up on my days off, loved it. But the adverse effect was it made me super upset with being in the front. And I was miserable. I was in a really bad place in my life outside of work. I was like struggling with mental health issues, struggling with suicidal thoughts. Like I was in such a bad place. I was just not on a good path of life at all. And then this whole job thing, then he told me that I couldn't, he'd really like appreciated me coming in on my days off, but they just don't need any help right now. And then the straw for me was he then put in, he hired somebody else for the back instead of me. And I was like, dude, what? So I had started looking elsewhere, even though I'd worked this place for so long and I really loved some of the people there. It was just super stressful. So if you're not in a good place mentally, it just made it worse. And I was suffering from like really bad migraines, which just makes it even worse. I was on antidepressant medication that was making me spiral worse. It was just not a good time. And I ended up interviewing at this place that did exotic animals. So like if you had a pet monkey, you took it there. Like all over the state of Connecticut, it was the top exotic vet, probably still is, in Connecticut. So
Where
like
is it?
It's in South Wilton.
Where the hell is that? I know.
So
where
like,
it is. It's
so
so
kind of
far
by
away.
Norwalk.
Oh, so you're so far from me. You're like an hour from me.
45 minutes or an hour from you.
45 minutes, yeah.
So like, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go. And it was like an hour drive from where I lived at the time. And I went and I remember I literally felt like I walked into fucking Dr. Doolittle's house walking into this place. There was like 3 crazy parrots in the lobby, a lady walking out with a monkey on her shoulder. I literally walked in there and was like, I've arrived. This is it. This is the best place ever. They had just finished putting trackers in all of the rattlesnakes. Like they had trapped rattlesnakes from the state of Connecticut, like the DODP, whatever, people bring them there. And they would, put them to not to sleep, you can't say that, put them under and give them trackers so they could track their patterns and where they live. Like, unbelievable. If you had a pet tarantula and it needed like a broken leg fixed, that's where you were bringing it. Like, so they
I
had,
didn't even know that exists in Connecticut.
yeah, it's crazy. They have a Savannah cat, those like giant, like bobcat looking cats you can have in your house. They had one that lived in the vet's office. And I was like, can I take this home? Like, this is like, I was playing. So it was probably the best day ever. So I had interviewed there, saw these things. And then they were like, we love you. We'd love to have you come back and spend a day here being a vet tech and see if you like it. And I was like, oh my God, I would love that. It was amazing. Now, mind you, I'd never actually been a vet tech. I just was trained by somebody kind of how to do it. So I was like, I can do this. Like, I'll figure it out. They'll just train me, like, whatever. So I went and spent the entire day there. The people were phenomenal. The animals that I was able to see that day and the work that they did there was unbelievable. And I was like, this is great because this is very close to Bridgeport where the Beardsley Zoo is. So I'm sure they work hand in hand. Maybe I can use this as a springboard to get into the zoo and be the, have my like tiger cub or whatever animal I'm going to get to like be the handler for. So I went there and I was like, yes, this is it. I was so hyped. And then I didn't hear anything from them for like 2 to 3 weeks. I had sent an email and I was just like, okay, I didn't hear anything. Like, I don't know what, after going there for the day, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was at such a defeated, sad, like, it was just, something had to give. I was in a bad place. And I remember having a conversation with my mom and being like, I don't know what to do, but like, I got to do something. And I don't like, there's no other vet I want to work at. Now that I've just been to the holy grail of exotic vets, like any other one is going to be garbage. Like, what do I do? And I was like, and mind you, this entire time I was still doing hair on the side. I was doing hair for like photographer friends in the city, like hair and makeup, editorial stuff. I had like made a lot of friends in hardcore music. So like I would do a lot of different stuff. Like there was a gray area with licensing that like, if you were just good and knew people, you could just get in and do it. So I was doing hair and makeup for like photographers, for content, back then it was a portfolio, it wasn't content, but for the equivalent of content now. And I was kind of always just doing it because it was my outlet. It was what took me out of my negative thinking head at the time and made me kind of creative. Like I got high off of making other people happy. Like that was my thing. That or taking care of an animal was my like, okay, this is how I fill my happy cup, if you will. So I hadn't heard anything and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? And I was like, maybe I'll just go to hair school. And my mom was like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, like do it. I was like, well, what I really want to do is go work at this vet with the fucking monkeys. But I haven't heard anything. I don't want to be annoying. I was like, maybe I'll just go tour the school again. Cause I had done it before and just didn't have the money. And
Where did you go?
I went to, at the time it was called Ricky's, which
nice.
was a private school in Newtown. Now it's Tony and Guy. I lived right down the road from a Paul Mitchell school, but I didn't want to go to a Paul Mitchell school. I wanted to go to a school where they would teach me, like when Ricky's was Ricky's before it was Tony and Guy, I literally left there with like 8 different color certifications. Like you knew, nice. You were so versatile when you left. It wasn't just one way of doing things. So I was like, well, I mean, let's just go look at it. Like, whatever. And I looked at it and I made my mom come with me because of course I was like, what am I like? This is a major life decision. Not to mention, like, I spent my entire life savings at 22 years old on hair school. Like I had like $80 in my bank account. Like that was it, the end. Like that was it. And nobody was going to pay for it. Like my parents weren't going to pay for it. Like I'm a 22-year-old kid. They're not going to do that. So I literally wrote a check from my personal account for hair school and was like, huh, and, watched it leave my bank account and was like, okay, this is it. And, my mom was super supportive, always has been, was like, hell yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for you. Like, let's get it. And I mean, she obviously didn't say that, but she was like, this is going to be great. And I remember being so nervous and I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because hair school's 9 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday. And if I'm doing this and I just spent all the money on it, like I'm doing it. I need to go and like go. Like, I'm not going to be hungover or tired from work or anything like that. Like, I'm going to give it like 110. So I put in my 2 weeks at the vet's office and was starting school in like a month. So it gave me like another 2 weeks to kind of just like mentally reset. And
were they
I was
upset?
hoping,
Like how, like they just
the
like,
vet? No, they were like, they knew I was mentally really struggling, like mental health wise, in a really bad place. I was very close with them. So well, two of the women that worked there. So they were very supportive. Like there were days where I was like, I need to go see my therapist now. Like, I can't stay here. Like, it was bad. And so
I'm mad at them for not letting you rise up in there, but you wouldn't be where you are today. So
no,
I'm not like
exactly.
mad
No,
at them.
I'm totally fine with them not, because no, it's fine. It's better off. But I'm mad at South Wilton. But
I'm just mad at that guy.
Yeah, you're like, I hate that guy. But let me get back to so I sign up for this stuff and I'm like, okay. So my mother had just purchased a condo as like an investment property. And she's like, look, here's the deal. I'll sign a 5-year contract with you. You can live here for 5 years. I think I didn't pay her very much, but it was like a couple, like I think it was like $500 or $800 a month, so that I could bartend, pay my bills, and like be okay and be able to focus on school and not work, like leave school, go right to work and not be able to work a job. Like, I wanted to be an apprentice or an assistant, and most assistant jobs back then didn't pay you. Like, you were just there. And so I was like, okay, cool.
Say that again. Most assistant jobs back then didn't pay you.
I had a microphone to yell into. Most, if not all, assistant jobs did not pay you when I was coming up.
I heard you. I just want you to say it a little bit louder for
the people in the back. Most assistant jobs don't pay you. You do not come out of school a celebrity hairdresser, okay? You don't. I can't tell you.
Sometimes you have to work for free. I worked a lot for free.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot.
I worked multiple jobs just for the experience, just to be in the damn salon, just to watch somebody. And I wasn't watching on my phone. I wasn't TikToking at work. I was, up someone's ass asking a million questions. Can I take that ball? Do you need me to hold balls for you? Can I stand here? Can I get your client coffee? Like, I was like a psycho.
It reminds me of like Don't Mess with the Zohan, when he was
literally
like,
one hair hits the floor
and he uses
my teeth. Yeah.
And he like catches the hair before it even hits the ground.
We have a barber apprentice who's kind of like that now. God bless him. He's the greatest of all time. I will stand up from my chair and he's like already behind me with the broom. And I'm like, oh, hey, hi. It's great. But so I had done this thing. I'm super nervous. There's this huge thing, literally 24 to 48 hours after my bank account drained to nothing. I got a phone call. A very apologetic woman on the other end of the phone is, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Thought they sent the email. It went to the wrong person. It's South Wilton Vet. They're calling me, offering me the job of my fucking dreams. We would love it if you could start immediately. I'm so sorry. I was on vacation. I had sent an email. It apparently didn't go through. So I'm calling you because I was worried, because I knew you were really excited. Like, we'd love to offer you the job. Talk about mental instability. I almost lost it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, thank you so much.
Talk about having
back
2 paths.
I was like, I'll have to call you back. And I literally hung up and I called my mom and I was hysterical. And I'm like, Mom, what am I supposed to do? And she literally is she's literally the greatest human of all time. Calmly just said, well, you've chosen your path and you need to follow it through. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. And I called her back and I said, look, unfortunately, although I would love the position, like, I'm going this way. And she said, well, if you ever change your mind, the door's always open.
That's great.
Which of course during COVID, I was like, well, is this where I go back to bed or what's up? But so I remember, you want to talk about already being nervous about school and going and being like the older kid in school, because everybody was going right out of high school. And here I am, like, not a full grown adult, but like, a quarter grown adult going to school. Like, I paid for it. Most of the kids in school next to me, like, their parents were paying for it. And they were like, not paying attention in theory and didn't give a shit. And there were times where they hated me because I was like, look, Susan, sit down, shut up. I want to listen. I need to be here because I paid for this. If you don't want to pay attention in school, get out. Like, literally, people would show up late and I was like mind blown. I was like, what? You're showing up late? I'm like, you have to clock in. This is an hour-based program. I'm in here early trying to clock in early and stay as late as I can. Like, what? So I was already super nervous about it. The South Wilton thing made it really hard. And like hair school is not easy. Like it is more of like it's just hard. And back then, like people were mean. And like it was catty. And I was like, this is like my worst nightmare. It's like
When
the
did you
high school
graduate?
field hockey team. High school or hair school?
Hair school.
I don't even know.
I graduated in 09. So you must have graduated in 06, 05?
I got to do, I would have to like, math is not my thing. So, hold on. It's
06.
Whoa. It's 2021.
And you've been doing it 15
It
years?
was either 06 or 07.
I graduated in 09 and it was hard. Hair school's hard. Like,
and just the girls were mean and nobody liked me and I don't know, whatever. It was fine. It was not fine, but I'm going to pretend it's fine. Everything's fine. As I'm sitting in the dumpster fire, I'm like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So I think it was hard. And I remember, you know, but I was like, you know what? This is just what I want to do. And I loved it. And I think for me, I needed to push myself to do that. I think I struggled a lot with a ton of other outside things throughout hair school, but I think it was my first week in hair school. And when I think that's like when it's still cute and like, you know, shit doesn't hit the fan there yet and people don't hate you yet. And you're still like the new kid where you're like, look at my book and you're excited about all your clips that are not broken yet and like all your combs and, you know, you're like your kit's organized and, you know, it's you're still new about it. Like when you get that new like binder in high school, it was nice for like 5 minutes before you doodled on it. This was that 5 minutes. And I remember going home and I always wanted to get the tops of my hands tattooed. Like I was just like, oh, it's so great. And even when I'm wearing long sleeves, I'll still look cool.
You've got great tattoos.
Thank you. And I was like, I just really want to do the tops of my hands. And I remember being younger and saying that. And my mother was like, listen, you need to wait until you have a career to tattoo. Like when you know what you're doing for the rest of your life and that it's going to be appropriate, then you can do the tops of your hands if you really want to. Probably not what she really wanted to say, but that's what she said. So literally sign up for hair school. I was like, ha, now I can get the tops of my hands done. It's totally appropriate. And my mother was like, okay, reel it in a little bit. Just wait. Like, and then she said what she had told me that when I graduated hair school, she would pay for me to get my hands tattooed, which is like insane. And I was like, wow, Mom, okay. My mother is the sweetest, tiniest, preppiest, like oozes the word Connecticut in every way you could possibly imagine. you know what I'm saying? Like she's the best, but she's very proper. So the fact that she said that, I was like, okay, all bullshit on that, but let's go. So and I was always very good at being like, I don't want to, not manipulative because that's not it at all. I'm not that at all. But I was like logical. There we go. So I was like, okay, Mom, I was a weekend. I'm like, listen to me. I'm not allowed to touch a client for 250 hours. So, or 200 hours or whatever it was. I was like, so my hands aren't going to get wet. When I get out, I'm going to need to give it 110%. I'm going to be someone's bitch. I'm going to be shampooing everybody. I'm not going to be able to heal my tattoos on my hands. Therefore, it's going to be a waste of money because they're going to go to shit and they're not going to heal properly. And like, that's my hand. Like I shake someone's hand, they're going to see it. And she was like, wow, I guess you're right. So I was like selling it to her. I'm like, so like, I should do it right now. Like, okay, I think you should. And I'm like, you're still going to pay for it? She's like, sure. So I literally got my hand tattooed a week into hair school. And I brought, because I was like so high on life that this is what I was finally able to do after wanting to do it since I was like a child. I brought the pair of crappy's not even the best word to describe it. Like you could buy a better pair off Amazon or like at a gas station. Scissors that came in my kit with like the gold screw in like pinky rest, like the literal worst. I brought them, like no name brand. Like I don't even know where they came from. They're mannequin shears. I'm surprised I didn't have black plastic handles. I brought them and a straight blade that I had to my tattooer and was like, I want this. Okay. I was like, I want the scissors on my right hand because that's the hand I'll be using to use them. And I want a straight razor on the top of my left hand because that would be my stretching hand that I would use to stretch the skin to then straight razor. And he's like, okay, sure. And my mom's like, you're sure you're going to do this forever? And I was like, yeah. And if I don't, it still looks cool. So it's fine. And that was literally like, that's what's literally on my hands.
Let me see.
Yeah. A rusty, horrible looking pair of like, there's the gold and the gold finger rest is right there. Like on my hand.
Girl, look at this tattoo. Hold on. I got this tattoo when I was in hair school, right when I got into hair school.
I can't.
And it's really bad.
I hope it's an infinity symbol on a pair of scissors.
Never. No. Nothing against anyone with an infinity symbol and a pair of scissors, but
they're great.
Literally, I got this tattoo from this guy for free, and he was doing it, and the ink was like rejecting from my arm.
Nice.
So we had to stop, and I had to go get it fixed. Okay. So look how bad it is. Hold on.
Yes. Gina's jail tats. Here we go.
Wait. Look
oh, wow.
Shading right here.
Yeah. That's dark.
It's like black. He fixed it. The guy at the beauty mark, he fixed it to being like, okay, but it was I don't think the guy could draw scissors at all. He couldn't even draw. I don't know why he was tattooed.
Oh, believe me, I've got some real gems of some tattoos of my friends that have done that. I'm like, wow. And now I'm so jealous. Like my husband's getting like more newer tattoos now. Like he waited to get heavily tattooed and now he's like got his whole arm. And I look at it all the time and I'm like, I don't even like you. Like, look at your arm. It's so much better than everything on my entire body, because tattooing from when I was getting heavily tattooed to now, of just like hair, like the tools are better. The machines are better. The ink is better. Like everything is better now that I'm like, yo, can I grow a new arm? Like maybe I should gain 300 pounds. Will I get more real estate? Like what's up? Like, what do I do? Because I'm like, I can't, like, my left arm was done when I was like 20.
Well, I think your tattoos look dope, and you can't even tell what they are because there's so many of them. So
it must be a bad connection. It's good. It just looks like a messy, like it's fine.
No, it's just like because I'm so far away, but when I look at you, I just see like dope tattoos. Like, oh, she's cool.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of them. That's it. And people are always like, how many? I'm like, I just have one. It's just really big. Just one.
I love that.
Really big one.
I love it. Okay, so you got your tattoos in hair school.
Scam my mom into getting my hands tattooed. And then I graduated hair school and worked for free for somebody. I worked at a salon where I had no clients because I had none. Well, I worked at the school. They had like a salon there. And they hired like the top 2 people of the class to work there, like at the high-end salon upstairs. Fun fact, they made me put in gauges, because I had gauged ears at the time, that you could not see through, so they were less crazy. And I had to wear long sleeves when I went into the big, like, higher end salon, like snooty higher end salon. And I was like, okay, cool. So I did. And then I worked in like the intermediate part between like the high end salon and the other one. And I worked there for a little while. And then I twisted my ankle, like almost broke it. Maybe I did break it. I don't know. I had a boot on my foot. And I was like, okay, my doctor told me that like I can't, no prolonged standing. And like, this is what I do for work. So like, I went and I remember telling the boss, like, hey, like the owner, I was like, hey, like, he's like, oh my God, what did you do? I was like, there was ice. I was wearing those stupid clog things, my foot, whatever. And he's like, okay, well, I was like, my doctor said no prolonged standing or I'm going to do permanent damage. And I'm like, I have a career where I stand for a living. So like, I can't do that. Cutting stools were not a thing back then. So I'm like, and he basically was like, okay, so I'll see you tomorrow. Didn't give a shit at all. And I was like, okay. And our shampoo sinks for that area were downstairs. So I'm like cutting people's hair, limping over with my fucking cane and my boot to the top of the stairs, yelling down, hoping that a student will see me to wash my client. Like not the client experience that I should be delivering at all. So that happened for like a week. And then I was like, I can't work here. Like if he doesn't give a shit about me as an employee right now, in this like factory of a salon where there were so many people and they were much more quantity over quality. And I was the opposite. So I was like, this is not for me. So at that point, I just wanted to work somewhere cool because I was working somewhere not cool. So I was like, I need to find a tattooed hairdresser and I'll work for her. I don't care who it is. Anybody who's like a little edgy. So
we have that in common too, that I had a broken foot and I have like pretty much permanent damage because I wouldn't take time.
Oh no, I'm
glad that you did. I'm glad that you did because like some people would listen and stay
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you didn't.
It's,
Like,
you know what? It's really hard. I think if it happened to me now, I probably would stay, but it's one of those things where we literally, like, people don't understand unless they're in this industry. Like, we have the heart of a servant. Like, I don't even know how to say it any other way than that, but it's like, I will put my business and my clients and my staff over everything, sometimes to a fault where it is like a bad thing. Like, I literally cut off my knuckle maybe a month ago, like bad. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I've been doing this for so long. And I literally just like if you can squeeze the skin on the top of your finger, like off, like just missed the tendon. I was like mid haircut on a Saturday when we're slammed. And I went and had to like, oh, of course my alarm's gonna go off. And I went and, excuse me 1 second, run to the back room. I'm like tourniqueting my finger. We're dumping super glue on it, like whatever. I'm like, I need to get stitches like now. Like, this is like the meat of my, like, there's a white tendon. Like, this is bad.
oh my God.
But I was like, my staff's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I like put a tourniquet on my base of my finger, got it to stop bleeding. We put a bunch of Band-Aids on. I thank God my next client was a nurse. She was like, here, put a popsicle stick. Like, we had wax sticks. So I made like a fake, like, splint, wrapped it up, went back to my client with a glove on, was like, sorry, no problem. She's like, it's fine, girl, you're running a business. Finished her haircut. That was at 2:00. I didn't go to the ER until almost 8:00 that night. Like, and my mother and my husband were like, what is wrong with you? Like, you can't do that. I was like, listen, if I needed to be taken out in an ambulance, I would have left. But otherwise, like, I need to stand here. Like, this is what I have to do. So it's very hard to explain that to the people that don't get it, but it's like, it's what you got to do. Like, if I was having a heart attack, I would have left. But other than that, like, I'm not leaving.
It's really hard.
So
It's hard to cancel a client and put yourself before. I understand, it's hard to put yourself first.
It's so bad. And it's because we care about it. So I found an edgy hairdresser and went and worked for her. Yeah, and I went and worked for her, and I, made no money because it was commission only. There was no hourly. Like, that was it. It was commission, and I would just sit there and watch and learn and get her clients coffee, and I, hand her stuff and clean the salon and walk the dogs and like walk the streets, offer free haircuts, offer discount, like whatever. And I did that for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I would help with the business aspect of things because I thought it was cool. And I was like, oh, how can I help? Like, how can I help? I just felt like I needed to pull my weight somehow, even if I wasn't bringing in any money or costing or anything. Cause I was just, whatever, commission only. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll, I would help her with petty cash, and I would help her with the end of the day stuff and balancing this and putting this together and organizing this. And like, I would do that kind of stuff. So it was essentially like being a manager without getting compensated for it. But I just needed to do something. I didn't care. I could only like front face and dust every product on the shelf and mop the salon like so many times in a week. So I kept myself busy and did that. And it's like, I saw that I'm very observant and I can read the room really well. And I saw that, I mean, we were all friends, the three of us that worked there, but I saw that her customer service skills something was going on. Like something was going on. Like, I was like, what? Like, I would be like, oh, okay, when would you like to rebook? Like, can I put them there? And I'd look up and she'd be like glued to her phone. I was like, there's a client, right? What? So it was not how she had told me to be, but told me to be when being there. And it's not how I would have wanted to be treated or would have treated a client. So I was like, something was off and I was worried. And, cause I needed the salon to be busy. I had a couple clients a week, but I wasn't at all fully booked. I had enough to get by. And, I was starting to have good weeks. I mean, by good weeks, I mean, like maybe I was taking home $500, like maybe. But to me, I was like, woo, at the time, because that was, amazing.
That's big money when you're starting from nothing,
Oh yeah.
It's crazy because people won't work for free now and they don't have the support, or maybe they just don't want to, whatever, a lot of different reasons. But when you started the way that you started, like how you started, it's purely the grind.
100%. You had
purely
to
to
go.
grind.
I literally would walk up to people and be like, "Hi, my name's Ashley. I'd really love to do your hair sometime." Hand her a card. If a girl had purple hair, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I love the purple in your hair. The salon I work at just got a new purple in. I'd really love to try it on you sometime," and hand her a card. Complete line of bullshit. We didn't have a new purple in, but like I did whatever I could to talk to anybody. I would dye my hair fun colors. I was tattooed, so like people would, I would try to get my friends in. Like I put in work, like work. There was MySpace then, but like, you know what I mean? Like there was no Facebook we had, but like it wasn't like it is now. Like it was like Facebook asked you how you're feeling today, and like you typed it in and that was it. It was not like a networking situation. So I remember being there, and right around the time I left, like right before I left, Instagram had just popped off as like it was an app, a thing to share pictures. And I was like, oh, cool. So maybe it's kind of like a digital portfolio, which I was
there.
super familiar with because I was super familiar with because I had a actual leather binded, beautiful portfolio of professional images from these photographers that I had done work with in the city and like over Connecticut when I was in that gray area of not being licensed. So I was like, oh, cool. So maybe this is just like a digital one of that. And, I'd post like a picture of my dog. Selfies weren't a thing yet. I was doing this kind of stuff. So I was like, cool, I'll do that. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll just post pictures of like what I'm doing. Like, I mean, right? That's a portfolio. I mean, I can reflect back on it later, like whatever. So I started taking pictures of what I was doing, still concerned. And I remember the guy that I was dating, I had a really bad breakup from a super abusive alcoholic that I was dating. One of the many reasons why I don't drink at all, because I hate what alcohol does to people.
You don't drink either?
I haven't drank anything in like, oh my God, probably since then, like 2009, 8, like maybe even longer than that. I don't even count it because I'm not sober. I just choose not to drink.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like it. I was straight edge for a really long time, like because I dated a straight edge guy, and I was like, dude, this is great. Straight edge is like, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you do nothing, and it's honestly like the easiest way. And I still I default towards that sometimes at industry events because everybody loves to party, and so many connections are made when you're drinking and like blowing lines together. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not me. So it stunted my growth in my career 100% because I don't go out and party at trade shows afterwards.
We were talking about this on Clubhouse. If I can just say, we were talking about this on Clubhouse and saying there was a room called Sobriety in the Beauty Industry or Addiction in the Beauty Industry. And I was sharing, I'm in early recovery. So I've been sober for almost 6 months now. And
that's amazing. Good for you.
Thank you. I was just having a lot of struggles with marijuana specifically. Like I was utilizing it like compulsively. Like I had my card and I was spending like hundreds and hundreds of dollars per week. I was taking pills. And I was just compulsive. Like it was like totally numbing. And I know it has its place for some people, and I would never judge anybody. Like I totally would never judge anybody for drinking, drugs, anything. But this room was great. And it was a bunch of people in there, and Britt Siva was in there. I don't know if you know her, but she was talking about, cause she's putting on industry events, and she's like, well, how can I make everybody feel included? And it's a good question, because at all of the events, I've made some great connections, but I was fucked up. And then the next day, it's like you have like 30% of who you truly are to offer at important events. And, I think that it's huge. And if we ever go to an event where we're together, like I'd love to hang out with you and create a sober environment, because honestly, like we are better when we're clear, like we're more ourselves, like we don't have to numb it all. And I think that it's because it's being brought up now, I think that our industry is going to change. And I think 100%. That people like you and I, or like leaders in the industry, and I know you're not completely sober, you just choose not to drink. Yeah. But like even people who make it okay to not drink and use hard drugs and like lead a little cleaner life, Right.
And I think I like love that whole topic. Think it's amazing. I could go on for hours about it. I bartended for a long time. I've dated people that were heroin addicts and I didn't know it. And I've dated people that were alcoholics, like people that, and I don't judge anybody for it. Like everybody has a vice. I get it. I used to drink, and you know what? I was really fucking good at it, like really good at it. So it was to the point where I literally watched the people that I was dating, my friends around me, and I was like, hold up. If I continue to drink like this, I am going to continue to one up myself because that's the type of person that I am. I am full throttle, full send, like, let's fucking go. That's how I live my life. So like if I do something, my uncle literally calls me full ass Ashley because he's like, you don't do anything half ass. If you're doing it, it's all fucking in. Like you're doing it. Got one tattoo? Look at me now. Like that's just what happens. So I knew that if I kept drinking, I was good at it. And I was just going to become like, I was going to start hurting people the way I was hurt by alcoholics. It was going to turn into other drugs. I would have been dead, homeless. Like it would have been a bad day. And I pumped the brakes, caught myself. It was a blessing that I was dating somebody that was so bad that I was like, whoa, I don't want to turn into that. Like that's terrifying.
Some people are put into our life by God as mirrors.
Yep. Totally. 100%. Mm-hmm.
As 100%. Like sometimes he puts people in your life. He, they, universe, whoever the fuck you believe in.
Yep.
They will put people directly in front of you and be like, look at yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've lived it. Like I think you have too. I've 100% lived that. And I literally have looked at it and been like, whoa, I don't regret that relationship at all because it was a lesson. I learned from it and I'm a better person because of it. Like whatever. But I think it put a lot into perspective for me. And I was just like, whoa, like I don't even know how we started talking about I don't drink, but it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, oh, that's right. I was getting out of a really bad relationship from an alcoholic. I had like moved out because my 5 years of living in my mom's condo were gone. So I had lived with this guy. I lived with him for 45 days. It went to shit. It was really scary. I left. I was living in like the ghetto in a shitty studio apartment, living paycheck to paycheck, working at the salon, and I started dating this guy who, side note, turned out to be the worst relationship of my entire life. And like still I have like PTSD from it and would probably hit him with my car if I saw him somewhere. Like full disclosure, like lock me the fuck up, don't care. I would run over him, put him reverse, back up, and then maybe go forward again. But we all have that one ex. hope he's listening to this.
We all have that one ex.
We all, some people have more than one. So he was like, wait a second, I don't understand why you're giving this girl so much money. And I was like, look, it costs more money to be out on your own. Like, I don't want that. Like, I'm good. I wanted to be the salon diva. That was my goal in fucking life. I wanted to come in, do my clients, leave, and go back home. I wanted to make as much money, if not more than the owner. I wanted to be like right up there with her or him, but not have to deal with any of the other stuff. Like I wanted to just like walk in there like a fucking boss ass bitch, get it the fuck done and go home. I was like, yes, that's what I want. And I'm gonna get that where I was at because I was like, something's going on. I have a feeling the salon's gonna close. This is not good. I gotta get out. Long story short, she was having an affair. I found that out and was like, yep, I'm out. I left.
I can relate. This shit happened to me too. Oh my God, we have a lot of weird shit in common because I was working with this salon. I'm going to keep this 10 seconds. I was working at the salon and she was like, I helped her build the salon. I spent so much money and cause she ran out of money and she started acting so weird and she was having an affair. Oh my God. And like everything went to shit after that, after she got caught. Everything went to complete shit. Anyways, okay. Bye.
No, amazing. Mind you, I'm a serial monogamous, like 110%. I'm literally blind because I'm married to somebody. So I'm like, what? My friends are like, that guy's hitting on you. I'm like, what? Like, I don't. That's not my bag. Not what I do. Sorry. I literally have like been in relationships that were going to shit and like called him and be like, you know what? This isn't going to work. Hung up, then gone to talk to another dude. Like I am very like, no, that's not how it works. So I end up like cutting people out of my life. Like when my girlfriend's like, so I've kind of been talking to this other guy, even though I'm married. I'm like, bitch, reel the fuck in. No, not into it. And I'm like, that's not okay. I've been cheated on enough that I can tell you, like, I will not tolerate those type of people in my life, period.
Yeah.
So here was my boss.
You're not the one to like vent to about your cheating struggles.
Yeah, no, I don't care. Sorry, you did this to you. So here was my boss. And I remember I didn't believe it because the girl who worked with me, who was friends with me, but she was closer with the boss because they drank together and I didn't, had told me about it. And I was like, no. And she's like, yeah, dude, that's why she's acting weird. And then I was like, I have a feeling that that's why the money's a little like, she's writing herself, I feel like, more to pay than she should be. Not my business, so whatever. But I was like, I don't know, something's off. I was like, the second people stop caring about a business as an employee, the business is going to close. The second the salon is not kept up the way it's supposed to, Tabitha Coffee says it best, and I can't verbatim, but she's like, the second you walk into a place and the employees don't care, the business is going downhill. So here I was working at a place where the owner's customer service skills, she didn't really seem to care. She was preoccupied because the only time she could talk to her boyfriend was when she was at work instead of we're at home with her husband. So I was like, oh my God. And I had that like epiphany because I would reread Tabitha Coffee's books like you wouldn't believe. I still have never met her. And if I did, I would probably fall the fuck over. But so I was like, I gotta go. I had told my boyfriend this. I'm vomiting my mouth saying that out loud. And he was like, yeah, nope, get out. He was also claimed to be the same stereotype of monogamous. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta get out because the last straw for me was one night. She was like, hey, can you just not post anything online or Instagram for a little bit? Because I told my husband that I'm going out to you, and I'm not. And I was like, okay, where are you going? And she told me where she was going, and I was like, oh my God, the other girl that I work with was right. She's definitely cheating and having an affair. Oh my God. And so I was like, I didn't feel comfortable lying for her, but what was I going to say? It's my fucking boss. I can't be like, I'm not lying for you. Cause then what, is she going to fire me? Like I was paranoid. So I was just like, okay.
So toxic. That is so like, so no boundaries, toxic, not okay.
Yep.
Like that has nothing to do with work. And like, you're not there to be paid to like deal with someone's personal shit.
Yeah. So uncomfortable. So I was like, okay. And then I was like, I'm going to leave. She was not the kindest of bosses. There were times where she would like belittle you in front of a client and like try to like put you, I think she was just a little bit jealous of us younger girls and like the cool stuff that we were able to do because a lot of her clients were older. And then so I was like, I'm gonna leave, and I had every duck in a row. I was like, I'm gonna go to another salon, and I started looking for other salons, and there was just nowhere that I felt comfortable that like I fit in. I didn't want to be the weird girl. Like I didn't want to. And salons wanted you to be the weird tattooed girl that worked there. And I was like, I don't know. I want to be somewhere that's like, I feel comfortable creating my art on people and that my clients barely had any, but would be welcoming. And I found this like small salon studio space that it was like $1,000 a month for like literally like half the size of like a Sola, like so small. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't think I should do this. Like I was so nervous. Didn't think it was a good idea. I was like, I don't have enough clients. And I remember my, the guy I was dating was like, listen, like break it down. It's $250 a week. He's like, I will literally cover the rest of your bills if I have to. Like, don't pay me rent. I moved in with him instead of living in the studio apartment, which mind you was over an hour away from this studio space. And he's like, if you can't make it, so the rent was like $300, $400 instead of the $8 I was paying. He's like, if you can't pay it, I'll cover it. But like, I think you can do this. Like, it's $250 a week. That's like 5 or 6 haircuts for what you were charging. Like, who cares? And I was like, okay, so nervous. I, did it all and set it all up and got everything ready to go. Cause I knew the second I told her that I was leaving, it would be nasty and mean. And I needed to make sure that I was mentally strong enough for that. I was 100% correct. I handed her a formal letter of resignation, and she was like, well, where are you going? I said, I'm going to open up a studio, my own salon. She's like, that's not a salon. You're just renting a room. And it was very toxic and very bad. And then it was like the battle to call your clients. I didn't have a contract or anything with her at all. But I literally got in the parking lot. I sent out an email on my phone. I had it all ready to go. I got into the parking lot. My hands were like shaking. And I called my first client for not the next day because I was off, but like the day after. And she was like, hey, I saw you just call me from the salon. And I was like, oh my God, she's that quick at already calling people. And I was like, no, I actually just left. She's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't answer. I said, no, like I'm not working there anymore. I'm opening on my own. And I was so nervous that no one was going to follow me, but every single person did. And they were so excited, and to learn after the fact that they were like, yeah, it was not a good environment in there. Like something was off. Like we weren't, and I literally crushed it. Like I didn't even know what to do. She was slandering my name. Fun fact, still is to this day. That was 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, like what? And so it was so busy at my little studio that I had like 3 people sitting in the hallway on folding chairs processing, my own little room, that after 5 months I expanded and took a double across the hall. My mom would come in every 3 days and wash the giant tub of dirty bowls that I had. Like, she was my assistant. And it just snowballed. And then I started looking for bigger spaces 5 months after that. So I was like just over a year into opening a business that I didn't want, that was not my goal. It was literally just like, fuck, I need a place to go. And now I was like, I need a bigger place because I have like people sitting everywhere. Like, this, what the fuck am I gonna do? Side note, when I moved, I was like, I'm gonna take a picture of every single hair I do and just post it. And I would post on my Instagram like one every single hour. And that's just what I did. When I was in hair school, they called me Red because the owner could never remember my name. There were 3 Ashleys. I had short red hair. So Red Hot came from that. And that just, I was like, oh, Instagram, we just make up whatever name you want. I don't really have a nickname. That's it. And that was it. It just stuck. And I just like, I literally was like, look at this cool haircut I did today. And it was like super fun maroon color. The photos were trash. The work was subpar at best. Like, you know, bad lit yellow lighting, like photo from an iPhone, like 2.
You know what though? And my friend said this to me today, and he was just like, oh, I was at the bar yesterday and I met this girl and she did hair. And I was like, oh, my friend does hair. And she was like, who? And he's like, Gina Bianca. And she's like, oh, I know Gina. And I feel like the reason people in Connecticut all around and stylists know is because I made myself one of the authorities of hair by letting people know I fucking do hair. Yep. And like, sometimes all you have to do is post. When they think of hair, they're going to think of you. Like, I love that you shared that. I love that you shared that you posted every hour. That's just what you did. At the end of the day, like, there's different ways you can market today. This is 10 years ago, right? But, you know, the fact that you have to put it out there, and like, when people, how can you, so a question people always ask is, how do I get more clients? Another question they could ask is, how can I make it so that when people in this area think of hair, they think of me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It just made me think of it a little different. And I can relate because I would always post on Facebook, and 2009 is when I started posting on Facebook, and then Instagram. I would post tons of hair, and it's so cool because I can go back on my
and look at it. Yeah, I love when the memories come up and it tells you.
And you can just
most of the time I'm like, ew, look at that.
Oh yeah. Well, my work was trash in the beginning. It was trash, but guess what? I was the only one posting it, so I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Exactly. And I think for me, it was cool because I just did it. Like, I was like, took a haircut, posted it, and then I started to get people that would text me and be like, hey, I saw this that you did, I want this. Hey, I saw this post that you did, I want, and I was like, oh, cool. And so it started snowballing. And at the time I was still dating this manipulative, terrible human. So he had put into my head that he's like, well, if you're going to get a lot of followers if you post what you look like, because you're a pretty tattooed girl and like guys are scumbags and they're into that. So like, you shouldn't post your face at all ever. And I was like, okay, I shouldn't. Yeah, you're right. I'm never going to post what I look like on the internet. Cool. Yeah, never doing it. AKA, so I never did.
It's like the number one thing you should do.
Right. Ready? This is insane. So then I got to the point where I was like, all right, I was doing a ton of barbering as well as women's hair, like a lot. I was going to barbering events, doing all this stuff. And we went to one barbering event where I was cutting hair in Long Island. It was the first one I ever went to. My ex, as controlling as he was, of course, came to every event I went to and carried my case around behind me to make sure no one would talk to me like, get over yourself, bye. So I got invited to this event in Long Island. It was the first one. I was so excited. I was doing a ton of like traditional haircuts when the pompadour haircuts first popped off. Like, I was the only one in Connecticut doing those type of men's grooming haircuts. Like, that was it. Then I started teaching them to people, teaching hairdressers how to do that, because like in hair school, let's be real, they teach you how to put a 2-guard on a clipper and go straight up the side of the head and tell you.
I couldn't even use clippers leaving school.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like that's all they tell you. So I went to this event and I remember getting there and we were walking in and this guy came up to the guy I was dating who was holding my barbering case and was like, hey dude, so like, are you a barber? Are you here for the show? And he was like, no, she's the barber. And they were like so put off, like, A, I was a girl, so weird. B, and like bear with me, but I was white. And I was at a very ethnic event, and they were like, who the fuck? It was like, "Wah!" Like I walked in, they were like, what the fuck? Which of course then I'm like, fuck, I hope I can do this. And that was the beginning of me learning. Like I did a haircut the way I did it, which was not the way they would normally do it. And I was like surrounded by these like terrifying hood, like ghetto dudes who were like, yo, your shit is bomb. Why do you do that? And I was like, what? I don't know. This is just what I do. And so it was super cool. But after that, I was like, yo, like I had just hit 10,000 followers. It was like, I don't know what year it was. Whatever, who cares? But could not believe, and I was like, you know what? I was like, that's it. I made it to 10K. The people that are following me are not following me for tits and ass. They're following me for fucking hair. So like, here's my face. Let's fucking go. Because nothing makes me more angry than the people that are like, here's me spinning around a stripper pole. Here's my cleavage. Here's me twerking. Oh yeah, here's a haircut. Okay, those people don't know you for cutting hair. They know you for your titties. And that's cool. If that's what you want to be known for, fucking pop off. Get it. But like, don't then complain that you don't have enough clients.
I totally agree with you.
Just
and
don't.
You know, when I see young women and men, and I don't want to, I want to empower women, and I think it's great. However, for me, I want to be known for my brain and my intelligence and like those things first. And if I end up being a model after I lose another 50 pounds this year, you know, I just don't know if I'd put it out there into the professional world unless it was like a professional photo shoot for like Sports Illustrated or something. But like not on my, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not putting anybody down.
I
but
3,000% know what you mean. And you know what? It's a mental health thing too, because some people need to do that and some people don't. Like some people need to, and that's cool. I applaud that. But I'm like, I just needed to prove to myself that the reason people were following me was because of that. And I honestly am going to blame my dad on that one, because he had made a comment, and I hate that your parents say certain shit and it fucking just sticks to you even when you don't want it to. I remember I was at his office. He's an architect, and I was walking around outside with him, and there was like a lot of construction worker guys there. Now, mind you, we live in Connecticut. I am almost 6 feet tall. I'm heavily tattooed, and I think at the time my hair was hot pink. I look like a fucking moving cartoon character. Most people have not seen people that look like me unless they've looked at the internet. Like they see it on the internet, but when they see it in person, they're like, holy shit, like they do exist. Like that's literally what happens. And I don't care. It is what it is. I did this not for that, but I did it for me, and it's part of it. But so my dad doesn't really get that. And I remember we were there, and like somehow like a lot of the guys were staring, and I was like, oh, and just kind of stayed near my dad. And I'm like, we're at like a construction site, and he said something along the lines of like, I was like, yeah, I've been doing a lot of like barbering. I should hand him my card or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I have. He's like, well, what do you think the percentage of your male clientele is? I was like, I don't really know. I think it's probably like 40 or 50%, like, you know, male clientele. And I was like, you know, I'm getting really busy with men's cuts. And he literally was like, well, yeah, I mean, it's because you're really pretty. And I literally stopped dead in my tracks, and I looked at him dead in the face, and I said, no, it's because I'm good. And he was like, well, I'm sure they also come because you're pretty. I go, no, they just learned what my face looked like 5 minutes ago. I used to have people walk into the shop and be like, I was like, hi, I'm Ashley. They're like, oh, now you expected. They were like, okay. And then would sit down. Like, that was just, you know, but I remember him saying that and was like, what?
I think that there are beautiful women and beautiful people out there, and it's okay to put it out there. I would never want to make anyone feel bad for that. But like, I really think it's like to be known for your talent, to be a goal, and
yeah,
to
100%.
Put the work into your talent, and that.
Right. And if you're hot, fucking show it off. Go ahead. But that
literally
should be a bonus, not your main fucking.
Totally.
You know,
totally. Yeah, and I love that, and I love that whole. I love your story. I just love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I posted a photo for my 36th birthday when I said it out loud, like last month, and I was like, I went back and forth about it for the longest time, and I was like, look at this photo, like my midriff is showing, like no cleavage, no ass, nothing, but like, you know, there's like this 6 inches of my stomach showing. Like, should I post this? Like, this is me. I'm like, am I too old to post this? Like, I can't post this. I was like, but I look really fucking good. Like my
You look
girlfriend takes
great.
photos and I'm like, maybe I should post this. I was like, I kill myself in the gym, I should post it. So I asked my apprentice assistant, fucking blow dry king bestie, whatever you want to call him. And I'm like, Anthony, should I post this? He was like, bitch, if you don't fucking post that, he was like, goodbye, you need to break the internet. He's like, look at you. He's like, you look incredible. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it. Because like if a gay man tells you need to do something, you just fucking do it. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And
Yeah, you look great.
yeah, but I'm like, I'm like the opposite of that person. So I was just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, but then so I built out the salon I have. Or we moved from my 2-person studio. I started looking at spaces and I found a space by accident because it was listed as like medical instead of like retail space. And salon, as you know, fits in that gray area where we can kind of fit into anywhere as long as it's up to code. And I looked at the picture and I was like, what? I was like, I know that place. Hold on a second. And then I drove there and it was right. So when I was a little kid, and I vividly remember being like 8 or 9 years old, my parents had just gotten divorced. My mom took me to where she went to get her hair done. Coincidentally, it was also where my dad went. It was this salon. It was owned by this man named Gary, and Sharon Stiles was her name. I don't know if that's her real name. Don't care. Sharon Stiles. Still talk to her. Still know her to this day. She's the fucking greatest. She would cut my hair. She cut my mom's hair. She cut my hair, and I remember, I can tell you how the salon smelled. I remember how the door squeaked when you opened it, and those horrible books that I looked at all the haircuts through that were like ginormous size of a huge menu, like huge books. And I remember sitting in her chair. I can tell you where it was in the salon. I sat there and I remember her cutting it. I watched every move. It was so fascinating to me. And then she blow dried it. I remember how good the shampoo smelled. Like she blow dried it. And I remember being like, oh my God, like I never had felt that type of pretty. I was so empowered through the beauty that she had just given me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, she's magic. She's like a wizard. She's like this magical power to make people feel good about themselves by doing my hair. I'm like, this is crazy. I was like, I want to do that. And so that was when my that was my aha moment of fascination between that. So the space that salon was in 1990, whatever, 80s and 90s, it was like the it salon in town. That space was for lease and marketed under medical. So when I expanded from a studio and built my first, real brick and mortar that was mine, I built it in the place that I first had that aha, I love hair moment. Literally, like the door squeaked. I went there, the hallway, I'm getting the chills. The hallway smelled the same. The stairs smelled the same. The realtor came with me and opened the door and like my eyes got wet. Like it made the same squeak. It smelled exactly the same. And I was like, I don't care if this is an old building and it needs to be gutted. Like, yes, this is it. Yes. And I took my dad there and he was like, oh my God, it looks the same because he went there. And so that was our salon home for like 5 years until we outgrew the space. And when we outgrew the space, we moved 3 miles down the road to Southbury, and I built out more than double the space of that initial salon. And it was a very bittersweet moment that my business grew. I had my first employee there, and it was just crazy and such a full circle moment to be in my hometown that I grew up in the salon that I fell in love with hair in, and now I own it, and I have a salon where little girls can come and fall in love with how they look there. Like it was just super the same type of like universe situation where I was like, this is meant to be. It was the same, like, self-love vet calling me, and I was like, nope, sorry, this was meant to be. So I definitely just kind of trust the process. And that's something that I tell people in hair and in life all the time, is you just have to trust the process. It doesn't mean sit on your ass and don't do anything. It means get up, bust your ass, and trust whatever you have to do to get there. So I think now we've built out, and now we have like 3,400 square feet in a beautiful space in Southbury that we love. I don't ever want to move if I don't have to. The build out was a literal nightmare. It was 9 months of my life. But it's our home. And the amount of organic growth that's happened to the business. I mean, I remember when I first opened, I was like, I just want to have my business longer than my boss did. Side note, 6 months after I left to open up my studio, she texted me to offer me to buy the shop, and then it closed. no, I'm not psychic. I just read the room, literally. So I remember, like the organic growth was just like, you had another employee that wanted to come, then another one that wanted to come, and another one to come. And my original goal was like, I just want to make it 5 years, because that was a little bit longer. That was how long she had hers. So I was like, 5 years, 5 years, and I can do it. Then 5 years came and gone like that.
So
and
fast.
Then I was like, what? Okay, all right. And then we just did, I think it was 8. Like we just had January was 8 years. And I'm literally like, I say that, I'm like, oh, and because if anybody gets it, it's you. You literally pour your life into that. It is my child. Like it is everything. I'm nothing without it. Like I tell people all the time, they're like, oh yeah, well you're great. You know, you own a business, you do this, do that. I'm like, look, I just do hair. Okay. I was like, I just do hair. I'm just a girl with a license standing behind a chair. Without a client or an employee, I'm nothing. Like, it's not about me. It's not. At the end of the day, it's about the client and the employee that make the space. Because cool, yeah, the space is cool. But what am I going to do with all the space? Just stand there by myself? Like, do some cartwheels? Like, that's weird. So I think I have stayed very, like, grounded, and I'm extremely blessed. It doesn't go without saying that myself as well as my staff have busted my ass. I've learned, I've fucked up a lot. I've gotten up, 15 times, and just continued, I think, being as hard-headed as I am. And I'm very like, okay, what's next? Better, faster, stronger, better, more, let's go, better. How do I get it better? I'll do a haircut or a color, and I literally look at it, and it could be the greatest fucking thing I've ever done. And I look at it and go, all right, how can I make that better next time? Like, there is no, that's it. I don't do the mediocre. Like, I'm constantly trying to one up myself. I can't help it.
I love that. And, I think I was talking to one of my friends on here, Danielle Fusco. Danielle does hair. I just did an interview with her. Do you follow her? She's cool.
I think I do. Yeah. It sounds familiar.
She's really,
I'm the worst with names.
Danielle does hair as her handle. She's really cool. And she was saying, like, she was telling me her story and talking about her growth, but something she said is like, her eye gets better, and like she can look back in her work and just like her eye of like, like what you said, like when you look and you're constantly like, how can I improve that? I think I love that you said that, because it just like sparked my interest of like because when she said like my eye got better, sometimes people don't have that, like the eye for it, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you train that? And looking at everything, and you don't have to like hate your work or anything, or make it so critical to yourself, but even looking and just be like, well, how can I make it better, or what could I have done? That trains your eye, and to be able to spot it. Some people will see something and then they just like look away. You have to stare at it. I'll see a bleed mark on my foils, and when my girl's filming me all the time when I do hair, and when I pull the foils, if I see a bleed mark, I point at it for like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And I stare at it, and she stares at it, and the camera stares at it, and then we fix it. But there's no pretending it's not there.
No. You can't. It happens. I think I don't know. I think it's always being like a one-upper and always trying to challenge it. But just like a chef, like a really great chef, that doesn't just happen. You have to try it, literally. To improve your palate, you have to try things. So to be a better hairdresser, you have to try things. Like, even when you're scared of it. Like, I was scared to go to hair school. I'm good. So you have to literally try things. I think that when you're scared, fear is the best place to grow, like 110%. I think I thrive off being scared. I think those moments when I'm like utterly terrified are the moments that make me feel most alive, and the moments I feel most like myself, which most people don't understand, and that's okay.
Well, it's a gift. It's a huge gift, because those who are fearless and courageous, and who look at uncertainty and variety and change and challenges as a gift of growth, which it is, but it takes courage.
Yeah, but please best believe I am far from fearless. I'm fucking terrified of a lot of things, but that's not what it is.
Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you're afraid, but you do it anyway.
Right, exactly. So for me, I think it's a big mental, like, mind fuck. Like, I skydive for sport, like for fun. I have my own rig. I throw myself out of an airplane, done it 101 times by myself, hold my own parachute, save my own life. Like, that's what I do. People think it's fucking insane. They don't understand it.
Tony
They're
Robbins,
like, well, aren't you still scared? I'm like, yes, every single fucking time I'm in the door of an airplane wearing my rig, I am utterly fucking terrified.
Tony
the second the
Robbins
plane
says,
takes off.
he says that the amount of beauty in your life is directly in proportion to the amount of uncertainty you're willing to tolerate. And you're literally training the fucking muscle.
Yes. Yes. Your brain is a fucking muscle. You can will. So when you're in that plane, just so that people can understand, like, you're terrified.
I've done it.
Doing
It's
it. I'm like,
scary as hell.
Oh my God. But I'm literally sitting there the entire time. You have to, when you get in the door and like you're not tandem attached to somebody and like you have to do it, you have to leave the door. There's people behind you ready to go. Like, you gotta go. And I can tell you that there are times the way up there, I'm deep breathing, I'm talking myself off the ledge, I'm forcing myself to smile because it releases endorphins that make you happier, because that's what my mother's told me since I was a kid. You're literally like fake smiling and like ha 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 in your helmet while you're like literally internally panicking. You're sweating, like every ounce of your being and your body is going, nope, 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 hard fucking no, nope, nope, nope. And you know what you do? You stand the fuck up and you put one foot in front of the other and you get in the door and you look back at your friends, you smile and you jump. You physically will your brain to do something that it does not want to do. And the second you leave that door, it is utter fucking bliss. Not just because of how great it is, but because you are stronger than your thoughts, like, period. Like, I can make myself do something that my body's terrified to do. And that's when you have the most growth. Like, it's literally, it's just nuts.
Do you go in Connecticut and Enfield?
Nope. I've never been to the one in Enfield because I used to live closer to the one in New York. So it's by New Paltz, New York, where I normally go. But I actually, yeah, please. I go a lot.
I can tandem though, right?
Not to me. You
no.
Somebody.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I took one of my girls, and because she always wanted to go, she's like, I want to go. I said, okay. And I prepped them, but I think, like, to kind of explain it to them, but to watch, and I'm like not going to get emotional. I'm really going to try not to, but to watch how her doing that, like, some of my girls are literally like my kids or little sis. Like, I love them. And to watch how her doing that changed her life was probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, because I didn't jump. My cousin is a professional skydiver. He worked for the United States Parachute Association, and he lived in Florida in DeLand, which is the skydiving capital of the United States. It's like kind of where it was invented or whatever. So I was going to Premier Orlando to work the show. 2000, oh God, who cares? 15, 16, whatever it was. And I had just ended that crazy, psychopathic, manipulative, narcissistic relationship that lasted like 4 to 5 years of that terrible human that I had run over. And when I was like, okay, well, it had just ended. I had to go to the show. I couldn't move out of the house we lived in yet. It was awkward. I went to Florida. I called my cousin on the way there, and we grew up like brothers. Brothers. Yeah. I grew up with him like my brother. And I called him and I was like, hey, so like, if I wanted to skydive, could you like make that happen? And he was like, yes, it's done. I'll see you when you get off the plane. And I landed in Orlando after like sobbing. My life was falling apart. I was like a disaster. Thought it was the end of the world. And I went there, and I remember seeing him, and he looked at me, and I have the video. It's on YouTube, my video of my first tandem jump. And I watch it every once in a while. And he literally looks at me and goes, this is going to change your fucking life. And I was like, yeah, huh? As I'm really like, yeah, buddy, whatever. Shut up. Like, you don't know me. No way. And I was just like, okay. And I had no idea what he was talking about. Like, I literally had no idea what he was talking about. But I was like, all right, sure. And I remember standing there in the room, like getting ready and waiting for Bob, the guy, to come in who I was going to tandem with. And I'm looking at this poster, and it literally says, like, those who fly know, and those who don't will never understand. And I was just like, yeah, right, whatever, because I didn't understand. And I was chalking it up as like, yeah, this is just like some adrenaline-based thing that I'm going to do. I'm an adrenaline junkie. This will be fun, whatever. And we went in to the, like, the guy comes in, And he's like this zenned out, like he's like, hey, what's up, Ash? I'm Bob. Nice to meet you. So we're gonna go up 13,500 feet. You're gonna be strapped in front of me. You're basically just wearing me. I'm the guy, and I'm wearing a parachute. Good? I'm like, yeah. You know, when he was super like mellow, that I was like, yeah, I'm not even scared. Like, this is gonna be sick. And I wasn't. And I was just like, okay, cool. My life is fucking shit right now anyway. I don't care what happens. Like, whatever. Literally didn't care. And got on the plane. And they were like, how high are you? Are you nervous? And I'm like, no, like, whatever. And there is a photo that I have downstairs in my house that is blown up like big. And it is a picture of Bob holding the door like this, me on his little like baby carrier pack in front of him. And he's leaning out. And it was the first time my head has ever been out of an airplane. So it was the first time I saw the sky at that place. And the look on my face is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It is the childlike wonder and how at peace I was in that moment. He hadn't even left the plane yet. And I'm just like looking at it with like the largest eyes you've ever seen. I was just like, this is what? Where am I? And to watch the video, and I remember that, you know, the feeling is something you'll never be able to describe, as you know. And I mean, I landed and my cousin was so excited and it was super emotional. And I like literally looked at him and I was just like, what? And like your brain is going, like it is like, I can't, everything hits you as soon as you land. You're like,
I was crying when I landed.
Oh yeah.
The other feeling I got that with was when I swam with the dolphins. I've only done that once, but it was that moment of like pure, like gratitude, wonder, excitement. Like you just can't believe this is happening to you right now. Like that's exactly how I felt when I did it. And I was scared. That's why I want to do it again, but I just like don't know where. And I'm so busy that I just like,
I'll take you.
I'll go anytime you go, let me know. But I went in Vegas and the sky, like those who fly know, those who don't.
Yeah, it's so true.
Oh, but I mean, so awesome.
It was like one of those things where I landed and literally I looked at him and I just went, this is a problem. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, dude, that is a problem. Like, I was like, this is what? I don't know what just happened, but like, I need to do it again. And I want to do it again now. And because I do everything full throttle, of course I want to do it by myself. And so I booked a flight back down in 6 months and I learned how to do it 6 months later by myself. And the guy who championed me taught me privately for a week to teach me how to do it. And I ordered my own rig and I've been doing it ever since. So it was just one of those things that for me, during that moment, it quiets the noise and I have a lot of trouble quieting my own noise.
It's like a meditation.
And what's that?
It's like a meditation.
Totally. I think for me, it was like I could get to that drop zone and be stressed and panicked and freaking out. And I was worried about this and I was worried about that. And oh my God, how am I going to pay this bill? And how am I going to do that? And then the second you leave that door of the plane, nothing matters. Nothing. It is a complete and utter brain douche. Nothing fucking matters. And you land, and when everything kind of comes back into your head, you're like, yeah, all right, whatever. I don't really care. It's fine. So,
I love that story. Oh my God, this is great. Are you having fun?
It's good. Yeah. I'm like, I have diarrhea mouth. I'll keep going. It's bad.
No, this is so great. And I'm learning so much about you. We have so much in common. We've never gotten to like truly connect. And I just am so glad that.
I know. I'm really excited that this happens.
Yeah. And now I want to know what you're doing now. So you have your salon, Save Your Scissors. You've been in biz for about 8 years. You moved around a couple times, expand, grow. You got a beautiful place in Southbury. And how are you behind the chair a lot?
Oh, yeah. So I work Tuesday through Saturday.
Savage.
I'm behind the chair on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Wow. So I just recently, and this is like as of like a month ago, cut my hours back. I was working 9 to 9 Tuesday through Saturday.
You're wild.
It would listen, it's not a good time, but you know what? You do it. I'm also a fitness junkie. So I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, rolling back in the house at like 10 p.m., taking a quick little nap and getting up and doing it again. So full throttle, here we go. So I recently throttled back my hours a little bit come this year in January, because I was like, okay, I need to continue to go to the gym and for my own mental health and I can't keep doing it running these hours. Like every Thursday, I was like crying by the time I got home because I was so burnt out. Like just you don't even know why you're crying. I'm just like, oh my God, what's happening? Like you're just oh, you can't even form a sentence. It's terrible. So now I work from 11 to 9, which always turns into like 11 to 11, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Thursdays is my admin day. So I've learned that I'm never going to get all the things I need to get done if I don't take time to do it. So Mondays and Thursdays I spend on Zoom calls, doing podcasts, doing, YouTube videos, like stuff like the things that I want to do on my want to do list, but never had time for. That was something that COVID gave me where I was like, look, when I come back, I'm doing admin days. This is what I want to do. And so I do that. And it's also helped me really formulate a program to like boost my staff and motivate them to be, to see their full potential that I do and push them to be better. And then I'm behind the chair on Fridays and Saturdays.
What a boss.
Yeah, listen, it's just what you gotta do. What do you do? And then, so I also, during COVID, rolled out a mentor program. So I do one-on-one mentoring, not for a lot. I only take a couple people at a time because I want them to get the most out of it. I don't want to spread myself too thin, and I want to make sure that they're getting the undivided attention from me that not only they're paying for, but they deserve. So I rolled that out right after COVID had happened. And I think it's for people like within the industry and outside. Like I have some people outside of the industry that are just female entrepreneurs that were like, look, like, tell me how you did this. And it's mainly talking about like holding them accountable, gassing them up. Let's talk about bills. How can we make your business better? Like, kind of like sometimes you just need somebody. Like, I have people who do that shit for me. Like you need somebody. So I think that's been really great and super rewarding. And it just makes me so happy to see them like really grow. And I'm in the process of setting up there was such a demand for that, like one-on-one mentoring, that I was like, I am one person and I'm not biting off more than I can chew. My salon and my clients are my first priority. So how can I do this and not spread it too thin? So now I'm in the process of putting together, it should be done in the next like month or so. I just want to make sure it's perfect before it's rolled out, like a monthly membership type mentoring group where it's like a group of stylists. We meet and do Zoom calls. So it's the same thing as like the one-on-one mentoring, just in a different price point and with more people. So it's for the stylist that like wants to not feel alone. Like where they're like, oh my God, look, like she had the same problem and she did too. Everything from like formulas to like, have you had this problem, to like, how do you work with a brand, and I think it would be really good for like booth renters or like that aren't getting the support that they need, because not all salons do that, or like the new people that during COVID, a lot of people went out and opened up their own like studio because they just didn't feel safe in the salons that they were at. And like, that's fine, but like, let me help you, because you're now coming back after COVID trying to do that, but you don't know what to do with all the business aspect of things. Like this is new to you and you're juggling a lot. So I just want to help people to see that. I never took a business loan to do any build outs ever. It was all done with money that we had saved. And I think the way that I break down things as far as like money wise and like, okay, well, if it costs this much, this is the goal. Here's how you break it down into weekly, daily, appointment-based things to save and to achieve the goal. And I think it's a scary thing when broken down. Yeah.
It's key. I love it.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of things like that, like little gems that to me and to you feel like common sense, to somebody else could be, groundbreaking. So I'm doing a lot of trying to give back to the industry that way, because I would have paid every dollar I had to have somebody like that when I was trying to figure shit out. There was nothing. And it just, there's nothing. There was literally nothing. You couldn't even get a mentor if you wanted one. So now I want to be able to help other people. Other than like shadowing opportunities, which I in salon had before, I'd like to bring those back soon because of COVID, it's a little weird. So we got to kind of wait. Hopefully once everybody's vaccinated, that won't happen. We'll be able to have those things happen and have events at the salon again and do things. But yeah, so there's that. I've learned that like people kind of want to know about my life outside of hair. Like they start asking questions and they're like, oh, so like, how did you do this? And oh, what do you do for that? And oh, I want to do that. And tell me how all your Disney hacks, because I'm a Disney nerd, and like, tell me. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I started a YouTube channel, and I decided that I would just talk about, like, tell my story and things that work for me and things that I like to do and kind of talk about it on there. I do some of it on Instagram, but I didn't want to like clog my feed with, all my Disney hacks. That'll take up half of the feed. So I figured, yeah. So I started YouTube. I'm teaching a class in April that I'm super excited about because I had a lot of people asking, like, hey, are you going to teach any virtual classes? Like, are you going to do any Zoom classes? Are you going to do this? And I was like, I mean, if you want one, sure. Like, what do you want to know? And so I literally pulled the audience on Instagram and was like, what do you guys want to learn? And everybody was like, business stuff. I want to learn business stuff or men's cutting is what they wanted. And I was like, I mean, I can't do both in the same class. It's a little counterproductive, but I was like, all right, I'll do a business class and tell my story about business wise, how I made it work and what I did and where I fucked up and what I learned from it, and kind of help and give them the school skills and the tools and skill set and mindset to crush it, I was like, all right, cool, we'll do that. But I broadened it. So it's
empowered,
entrepreneur. Yep.
The empowered entrepreneur.
Yeah, we're doing it for even if you're not in the hair world, like business is business, it doesn't matter. So it's cool because I have a couple people that were asking me like, hey, like I don't do hair, I do this, or I'm in the process of starting up this. Can I do it? Hell yeah. You want to sell Rodan and Fields? Come on down. You want to call that a business too? You're selling it from your living room? I don't care. Whatever you want to do. I'm like, sure. It's still a business. You're a business. If you're selling something or you're opening some type of brick and mortar business and you need to hear somebody's story and what I've learned along the way and kind of like gas you up, let's go.
Yeah, I feel like you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and you need a coach.
Yeah, I don't even hang out with 5 people. So I'm an average between my dogs and my cats. Sick. Here we go. And
you said you had a coach. I think I have 2 coaches and 2 therapists, and like,
oh no, yeah.
I feel like it's really important. And I feel like artists who want to make all these big things happen, you need to be around people who are supporting you with that, and having a coach and mentors is key.
I hope I'm like those people. Honestly, I have a business coach, Nina, who who's the greatest.
I just had an interview with her the other day.
I love her.
You're gonna freaking love it.
I can't wait. So I've been hanging out and talking to Nina about business stuff, and she's helped me like flip the script and really help me like, literally when I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? She's like, yes, bitch, that's what you got to do. So she's the, my like very young mother figure who like hooks me up with stuff and tells me, like, talks me off the ledge. That bitch talks me off the ledge when I'm about to like pop off. I'm literally calling her, messaging her like, okay, I'm in the bathroom at the salon eating salsa on a 5-minute break, and this is what's happening, and I'm freaking out. What do I do? And she's like, take a deep breath. You're losing your mind. You're gonna be fine. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Sometimes you just need somebody else that gets it. And when you're the owner, like, what am I gonna go lose it on one of my staff? Like, no. So I have her, and she's the greatest. And then I have a like terrifying, awesome mentor, like life / business coach, Wes Watson. Do you know who Wes Watson is?
I don't.
Oh my God.
Let me look it
so
up.
Wes Watson is probably one of my favorite human beings on the planet.
Oh, so
his story is
oh cool.
His story is incredible. So he was like, just to sum it up really quickly, he's probably worth like $2 million, $3 million right now. He got out of the California State Penitentiary after doing 10 years, 3 years ago. 3. Now he makes 6 figures a month. Like, he's killing it. And he's so raw and so authentic. And like me, does everything highly caffeinated on level 15 at like a full send. And I just feel like we're some kind of like, are you my long lost brother? Like, what's up? Because I literally had a call with him today, and like the two of us are just on the same vibe all the time. And I adore him. So he calls me on my shit from like a personal growth level as well as business. When I'm like, well, I don't, he's like, no, fuck that. He's like, you do this, fuck that. So he will push me outside of my comfort zone even farther than I'm comfortable doing.
Yeah, he seems awesome.
He is terrifying and amazing, and his YouTube videos are great, and he literally just coaches people, and his YouTube is all about prison stories. He's literally like, yeah, I was in there for 10 years. This is what I did. This is how I did this. This is what we cooked. These are what my tattoos mean. Like, he literally is so raw and authentic. And I'm like, hell yeah. And he was the one that pushed me. And he was like, no, 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 no. He goes, the shit you told me, you have a fucking story. You need to put that on YouTube.
Well,
I was like, well, I watch yours. He goes,
I love that
like,
you're
I
telling it on
yours.
the podcast. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off, but just telling
No, you're fine.
here on the podcast is huge too. Like, you know, I think that starting it and telling it and being open about who you truly are takes, I always say the more real you get, the more unreal it's going to get.
Yes, love that. But I also like, I was like, well, no one wants to hear what I have to say, or maybe I don't want to air it out, or I don't want to. But listen, every horrible and amazing thing that's ever happened to me has made me the human being that I am today. And I'm fucking grateful for that. So, like, I know that when I read your posts, you know, that are emotional and long, or other people's stuff, it fucking hits me on like, I'm like super heightened emotions or whatever. As I get older, it's worse. I'm like crying watching American Idol. But whatever it is, that bitch, don't even laugh. Every fucking Sunday, I'm in my bed in fucking tears, like, that was the most beautiful song I've ever heard. It's the one talent that I wish I had. I fucking sound like Scuttle from The Little Mermaid when I try to sing, but the people on American Idol are just sending me right to my field. So, I mean, I love hearing people's stories. You know what I mean? American Idol, I'm there for the story and the songs and the tears. But like reading people's posts, I'm like, this is just, I love it. And there's certain times where I'm like, fuck, that's me. Same. How do I get out of that? How do I push it? So if I can just reach one person with my story that was like, wow, my family never believed in me, or wow, this happened for me too, or wow, like, great. Like, just know that, like, look, like, I'm doing good. You know, like, I'm okay. I'm not a poor starving artist. I'm okay. Like, I did my thing. I'm successful. I made it. This is what I wanted to do. I'm still making it. I'm still one-upping myself. There's no end. It doesn't end. So if somebody's out there that is struggling with mental health or with self-image or any of the millions of hundreds of things that I've ever struggled with that I can shed light on, and they're looking up to me like, well, wow, you went through all of that and you're here. Cool. And if it just keeps them taking one more step forward, that's all I literally could ever ask for.
You're amazing, Ashley. I'm so glad we got to hang out today.
I know, same.
This was awesome.
I wish you did these like in a studio, so it was like real, but I don't think we can because of COVID.
I mean, you never know what could happen. I keep manifesting I want a podcast full time, but who knows what will happen.
I think you should. I mean,
they've just been great.
I'm here for it.
The interviews have just been great. Like, your story is amazing, and there's so many people who need to hear it. And I've had many incredible interviews. Like they're always completely different from one another, but it's just an honor to hear your story and to be able to share it. And I'm so grateful that you spent your time here with me today. And you guys can follow her at Red Hot Stylist. Is there anything else you want to share before we hop off?
No, just thank you so much for letting me hang with you and like talk about all this stuff. I'm so energized. I'm never gonna be able to sleep now. I'm like so excited that we got to like vibe and hang and talk about all this stuff that's happening.
Yeah,
I love it. I miss people.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm
like,
just
I miss people.
I know. I'm so grateful you shared with all of us so openly and vulnerably. And, you know, it's just awesome that people like you and like the role models in the industry are sharing their story. And I hope that if you guys resonate with her, which I'm sure so many of you do, reach out to her, send her a DM. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah. Send her a DM. She is awesome. Thank you, Ashley, so much. Good luck to you. I will talk to you soon. We're going skydiving together.
Sure are.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.